Ever get that feeling? You get a raise. You're making more money than ever before, but somehow you don't feel any richer? It's a super common, kind of weird feeling. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden force that quietly eats away at your wealth, especially right when your career is starting to take off. It's a sneaky trap, and it's called lifestyle creep.
But to really get a grip on one of the most important ideas in finance, we have to start with something way simpler. I want you to just imagine a time you were desperately, unbelievably thirsty. You know, like after a crazy workout or on a blistering hot day. Just try to feel that urgent need for a glass of water.
And then you get it. That first glass. It's ice cold. It's perfect. It is absolute heaven. That first sip is probably one of the best feelings in the world, right? The satisfaction is off the charts. A total 10 out of 10. It solves your problem completely. Okay, now hold that amazing feeling in your mind. And imagine someone hands you a 10th glass of water. How's that feel? Not so good, right? You're not thirsty anymore, you're bloated, and honestly, another sip would probably make you feel sick. The very thing that was so incredible a few minutes ago has now become a negative. And that right there, that's a perfect example of a huge economic concept, the law of diminishing returns.
So that same law of diminishing returns, it doesn't just apply to water. It applies to every single dollar you earn and spend. And this is exactly where we find the most dangerous financial trap you're likely to face in your career. It's a little something called lifestyle creep.
So what is it exactly? Well, lifestyle creep is the subtle process where, as you start making more money, your spending just expands to fill up that new space. Things that used to feel like a huge treat, a real luxury, slowly and quietly become your new normal. They become your new necessities. And it's an assassin of wealth, because you never actually feel like you're getting ahead. You just feel like you're breaking even, but now with a much higher price tag.
And here's exactly how it gets its hooks in you. You know, that first big paycheck lands in your account and you celebrate by finally buying the fancy brand name stuff instead of the generic. Then, the next promotion rolls around. Maybe you start thinking, hey, I should fly first class for that trip. Before you know it, you're eating at pricey restaurants every week. The real problem is that each of these little upgrades raises your bare minimum baseline, making it harder and harder to feel happy with what you had before.
Now let's watch this trap play out with one of the biggest purchases you'll ever think about, your home. This is where that law of diminishing returns just hits like a ton of bricks.
All right, now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at that first upgrade. You go from that cramped post-college apartment to a really nice, comfortable house. The happiness gain? It's massive. It completely changes your life for the better. But now, look at the second upgrade. Going from that nice house to some giant mega mansion? The happiness gain is tiny. It barely moves the needle. But your expenses, the mortgage, the taxes, the upkeep, they absolutely explode.
And this chart just says it all. Look at that first bar, a huge, satisfying leap in happiness from that first upgrade. Now, look at the second one. It's almost flat. You are spending exponentially more money for a tiny, almost unnoticeable gain in happiness. That, my friends, is lifestyle creep in action.
So, if our desires just naturally expand while our happiness kind of flatlines, how in the world do you beat this trap? Well, the solution is actually surprisingly simple, but it does require one very conscious decision. It's all about setting your ceiling.
The secret is to create a conscious, hard-spending ceiling for yourself. Now, this isn't about depriving yourself or being cheap. This is about empowerment. It's about you deciding what your first glass of water lifestyle is, that level of spending that brings you the most joy and satisfaction, and then choosing to stop right there, even when you can easily afford that miserable 10th glass.
So here's the 3-step game plan. First, just acknowledge the truth. Your wants will always expand if you let them. Second, you have to define enough. You consciously decide on the level of housing, travel, and spending that genuinely makes you happy, not what Instagram says should make you happy. This becomes your personal spending ceiling. And third, you hold the line. As your income goes up, every extra dollar gets automatically directed toward your real goals, like investing for financial freedom, not just to a fancier lifestyle. A super easy way to do this: automate it. Set up a recurring transfer so that extra money moves to savings the day you get paid. You can't spend what you never even see.
And it's really important to get this. This isn't just a clever savings hack. Setting a ceiling fundamentally changes your relationship with money. It completely redefines what it actually means to be wealthy.
And that brings us to this really powerful idea. True wealth isn't about having the most stuff, flying in the fanciest planes, or living in the biggest house. It's about freedom from want. It's about having your needs and your core desires met, so you're no longer a slave to that endless treadmill of wanting more. Wealth is simply needing less.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one question to think about. Before that next raise or bonus comes along, take a moment and really define it for yourself. What does enough truly look like for you? Because answering that question, that is the first real step to building lasting wealth.